The emergency session of the Galactic Council was well underway by the time Ambassador Riley Martinez arrived. The chamber, a vast, ornate hall with soaring crystal arches and holographic displays that shifted between starfields and planetary systems, hummed with the urgent whispers of 700 alien delegates. Representatives from every corner of known space had gathered, their disparate physiologies creating a tableau of diversity, some humanoid, others utterly alien. From the crystalline-faced crystallines to the serpentine Tessarans and the insectoid hive representatives. Riley strolled in 15 minutes late, a steaming cup of coffee in one hand and a tablet in the other. She wore her standard-issue Earth diplomatic uniform, dark blue with silver piping, but had forgone the formal cap. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she moved with the casual confidence of someone unconcerned with the apparent crisis. "Nice of you to join us, Ambassador Martinez," said High Counselor Zethris, a towering figure with azure skin and 6 eyes arranged in a perfect hexagon across his elongated face. His voice carried a mixture of irritation and respect. Riley smiled, taking a sip of her coffee. "Wouldn't miss it for the world, Counselor. Or should I say worlds?" She settled into Earth's designated seat, which was notably positioned in the lower tiers of the chamber, a reflection of humanity's relatively recent admission to the Council. "Perhaps you could enlighten us," continued Zethris, "on why the Corfac Empire has assembled what appears to be the largest invasion fleet seen in 3 centuries, with Earth explicitly named as its target." A wave of murmurs swept through the chamber. The Corfac Empire, a military dictatorship spanning 17 star systems, had long been one of the more aggressive members of the galactic community. Their dispute with Earth had begun as a trade disagreement over mining rights in the Kuiper Belt, but had escalated rapidly when Earth refused to back down from what they considered sovereign territory. "I've heard the rumors," Riley said, setting her tablet down. "Something about teaching Earth a lesson, right?" "This is no rumor, Ambassador." The Tessaran delegate, a serpentine being named Shrell, hissed from across the chamber. "Our intelligence suggests 847 warships, including dreadnoughts and planet crackers." Riley nodded, seeming almost bored. "That sounds about right." The chamber fell silent, all eyes and sensory organs fixed on the human ambassador. "Ambassador Martinez," Zethris said slowly, "do you comprehend the gravity of this situation? The Corfac fleet will reach Earth's solar system within 48 standard hours. Your planet has no defensive fleet of comparable size. The Council can offer diplomatic intervention, but—" "That won't be necessary," Riley interrupted, taking another sip of coffee. She tapped her tablet, and a holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. It showed real-time tactical data. The massive Corfac fleet, arranged in attack formation, moving steadily toward the Sol system. In fact, the situation has already been resolved. As the delegates watched, the holographic ships, 847 red dots, representing the most fearsome armada assembled in recent galactic history, suddenly vanished. Not one by one, but simultaneously. 1 second they were there, the next, gone. No explosions, no debris field, no distress signals. Just empty space where moments before had been enough firepower to reduce a planet to molten slag. The chamber erupted. "What trickery is this?" bellowed the Meraki representative, a hulking figure whose species resembled a cross between a rhinoceros and a bear. "No trickery," Riley replied calmly. "Just a live feed from our monitoring stations." "Impossible," Sorel hissed, their hood flaring in agitation. "No weapon system could—" "I never said it was a weapon," Riley shrugged, a gesture uniquely human that most aliens found profoundly confusing. "But the Corfac fleet no longer poses a threat to Earth or anyone else." Zethris signaled for order, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of extreme distress among his kind. Ambassador Martinez, the Council demands an explanation. What has happened to those ships? What has Earth done? Riley stood, gathering her tablet and her half-empty coffee cup. We dealt with it. Isn't that what matters? She smiled, the expression not reaching her eyes. I believe this emergency session can be adjourned, but we should probably schedule another one for tomorrow. Earth has a proposal the Council will want to hear. With that, she turned and walked out, leaving behind a chamber of stunned silence that quickly dissolved into panicked speculation. Admiral Sarah Thompson stood aboard the orbital platform Moliere, hands clasped behind her back, staring at the tactical display. The massive view screen showed empty space where, moments before, the Corfac invasion fleet had been approaching. Around her, the command crew worked with quiet efficiency, though she could detect the undercurrent of tension in their movements. Project Sleeping Giant is fully powered down, Admiral, reported Lieutenant Commander Rajiv Singh, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what they had just witnessed, and orchestrated. All modules report nominal status. Thompson nodded, her silver-streaked dark hair catching the blue light of the tactical displays. At 52, she had served in Earth's Space Forces for nearly 3 decades, rising through the ranks during humanity's rapid expansion into their solar system and beyond. She had been one of the first to advocate for Project Sleeping Giant, even when most military strategists thought it was both technically impossible and diplomatically suicidal. Run a full diagnostic, she ordered. I want to know if any modules were compromised during activation. Yes, Admiral. Thompson turned to face the command room. 24 officers, the elite of Earth's defense forces, looked back at her with expressions ranging from awe to unease. What we did today, she said slowly, will change the course of human history. For 30 years, we've built this network in secret, embedded disruptors in asteroids, comets, even defunct satellites. We've violated 17 provisions of the Galactic Non-Proliferation Treaty. But today, those violations saved Earth from annihilation. Admiral, interjected Major Diana Foster, the youngest officer on the command deck. The Corfac ships, the people aboard them, are they? Gone, Thompson said simply. The molecular disruptors don't destroy matter. They simply relocate it, scramble its fundamental structure, and reassemble it elsewhere. Where exactly? Asked Captain Rodriguez. Thompson's gaze returned to the view screen. That's classified even at this level. Captain, what matters is that Earth is safe, and the galaxy has just learned that we are not the technological backwater they believed us to be. In her private quarters an hour later, Thompson received a priority communication from General Marcus Webb, head of Earth's Unified Defense Command. Sarah. Webb's holographic form flickered into existence, his weathered face grave. The President has been briefed. The Security Council is in emergency session. And Ambassador Martinez, playing her role perfectly. The Galactic Council is in chaos. Webb ran a hand over his close-cropped gray hair. Our intelligence officers report panic spreading across 17 sectors. The Tessarans have recalled their diplomatic corps. The Crystallans are proposing an immediate peace treaty. And the Zoran hegemony, he paused, a slight smile breaking through his serious demeanor, has suggested a political marriage between their crown prince and any suitable Earth representative. Thompson raised an eyebrow. Interesting approach to diplomacy. Indeed. But the real question is what comes next. The galaxy now knows we possess technology beyond anything previously demonstrated by a species at our development stage. They don't know the half of it, Thompson said quietly. Sleeping Giant was just phase 1. Webb's expression darkened. The President is concerned about escalation. Revealing our hand may have prevented this attack. But now every power in the galaxy is reassessing their position vis-a-vis Earth, Thompson finished. Some will seek alliance. Others will accelerate their own weapons programs. Exactly. which is why Ambassador Martinez's next move is crucial. Thompson nodded. The protection initiative? Yes. If we can't hide our strength anymore, we might as well use it to reshape the galactic order in our favor. Webb's hologram flickered. Your orders are to maintain Sleeping Giant at standby status. And Sarah, prepare to bring Greek fire online. Thompson felt a chill run down her spine. Sir, Greek fire is still in testing. The potential for catastrophic... Just be ready. Webb cut her off. We need every card on the table now. Webb out. As his hologram disappeared, Thompson turned back to the view screen, staring at the stars. Humanity had just stepped onto a much larger stage, and she wasn't entirely certain they were ready for the spotlight. The Galactic Council's emergency session reconvened exactly 24 hours after Riley Martinez had walked out, leaving chaos in her wake. This time, the chamber was even more crowded. Delegates who normally sent junior representatives had appeared in person, and additional security personnel lined the walls. Riley arrived precisely on time. No coffee cup today. Instead, she carried several old-fashioned paper notepads, a deliberate anachronism that immediately drew curious glances. Earth was known for clinging to certain archaic practices. But in a galaxy of quantum data storage and neural interfaces, physical writing materials were practically museum pieces. Ambassador Martinez. High Counselor Zethris acknowledged her with a stiff nod, all 6 of his eyes focused on her approach. The Council recognizes Earth's representative. Riley took her seat, laying the notepads neatly before her. Thank you, Counselor. I appreciate the Council reconvening on such short notice. Given the circumstances, Zethris replied. The Council had little choice. You claim to have a proposal for us? I do indeed. Riley stood, her posture relaxed but commanding. Yesterday, the galaxy witnessed something unprecedented. The neutralization of an invasion fleet without a single shot fired in conventional terms. I'm here to explain what happened and to offer a path forward that benefits all civilized worlds. She activated her tablet, and a holographic display appeared in the chamber's center. Unlike the tactical data from the previous day, this showed a complex network of tiny nodes scattered throughout Earth's solar system. For the past 30 years, Earth has been developing what we call the Molecular Disruption Network, or MDN. These devices, she indicated the nodes, can target matter at its fundamental level, reorganizing molecular structures instantaneously across vast distances. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several delegates began urgent, whispered conversations with their aides. This technology, Riley continued, violates sections 12 through 29 of the Galactic Non-Proliferation Treaty, which Earth signed upon joining the Council. We acknowledge this violation and offer no excuses. This is outrageous! The crystalline delegate rose, the facets of their mineral face catching the light. Earth admits to developing prohibited weapons technology while pretending to abide by our laws. Riley smiled. Yes, that's exactly what we did. And yesterday, that decision saved millions of Earth lives from Corfac aggression. Aggression that the Council's vaunted security guarantees would have done nothing to prevent. The Council could have negotiated, began Srill. The Council has negotiated with the Corfac Empire 12 times in the past century, Riley interrupted, resulting in 11 temporary ceasefires and 1 massacre on Proxima Centauri. Forgive us if we decided to develop alternatives to your diplomatic track record. High Counselor Zethris raised a hand for silence. What happened to the Corfac fleet, Ambassador? You owe this Council that explanation, at minimum. Riley's expression sobered. The fleet has been relocated. The crews are unharmed but contained. Their molecular structure was disassembled and reassembled in a secure location. You have imprisoned 17,000 Corfac military personnel? Zethris asked, his voice rising. We prefer detained, Riley replied. And yes, They launched an unprovoked attack on a sovereign world, under galactic law. That gives us every right to defend ourselves. Not with prohibited technology, shouted the Meraki representative. Riley flipped open one of her notepads, making a show of consulting her notes. Actually, according to the Treaty of Betelgeuse, Article 7, Paragraph 3, in cases of existential threat, signatory worlds may employ extraordinary measures for self-defense, provided such measures cease once the threat is neutralized. She looked up, smiling again. We've neutralized the threat, and now we're prepared to offer something the galaxy desperately needs: security. With a gesture, she changed the holographic display to show a document titled The Galactic Peace and Security Initiative. Earth proposes a new framework for interstellar relations, Riley announced. Under this initiative, we will extend our protective capabilities to all worlds that wish to participate. In exchange for reasonable consideration, Earth will guarantee the security of member worlds against aggression, piracy, and natural disasters. Reasonable consideration, echoed the Zoran representative, his voice suspicious. What exactly does Earth want in return for this protection? Riley flipped to another page in her notepad. 3 things. First, arbitration rights in disputes involving member worlds. Second, basing privileges for Earth vessels and personnel in strategic locations. And third, a modest annual fee, scaled to each world's economic output. The chamber erupted again, delegates shouting over one another in various languages and communication forms. Some rose from their seats in outrage. Others huddled with advisors, faces or equivalent features showing alarm. This is not a security pact, bellowed the Meraki representative. This is a protection racket. Riley didn't flinch. Call it what you will, but consider the alternative. A galaxy where any world with sufficient military might can threaten its neighbors without consequence. Where treaties are worth less than the quantum data they're stored on. Where the Corfac Empire can send 847 warships to teach a lesson to a supposedly protected council member. She paused, looking around the chamber. Or you can accept Earth's protection, guaranteed by technology that, as you've seen, can neutralize threats without bloodshed. And if we refuse, asked Srel, their serpentine form coiled tightly in tension. Riley closed her notepad. That is, of course, you're right. Earth respects the sovereignty of all galactic civilizations. Her smile returned, cool and confident. But I should mention that the technical specifications of our MDN have been transmitted to Earth's allies, with instructions to release them publicly, if anything unfortunate happens to our planet. You're threatening to proliferate this technology, Zethris asked, his voice barely a whisper. Not at all, Riley replied. I'm simply noting that Earth's continued security is in everyone's interest. The Council has one standard day to consider our proposal. We look forward to your response. With that, she gathered her notepads and tablet, nodded respectfully to the High Counselor, and exited the chamber, leaving behind a stunned silence, broken only by the occasional hiss, click, or electronic hum of alien communication. The hour after Riley's presentation was perhaps the most frantic in the Galactic Council's 10,000-year history. Delegates formed impromptu coalitions, huddling in corners of the vast chamber or retreating to private rooms. Communications arrays beamed urgent messages to homeworlds. Military advisors were summoned, economic forecasts hastily compiled. In a secluded consultation chamber, 3 of the most influential delegates met in strict privacy. Sahrel, of the Tissaran Confederacy, Meraki Prime Grull, and First Speaker Lyria of the Zoran Hegemony. This cannot stand, Grull rumbled, his massive form barely contained by the reinforced chair designed for his species. If we acquiesce to Earth's demands, we create a dangerous precedent. Srel's forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air, a sign of deep thought among the Tissarans. Yet, if we refuse, we risk either Earth's vengeance or worse, the proliferation of this molecular disruption technology. Our analysis suggests they are not bluffing, said Lyria, her voice melodic despite the gravity of the situation. The Zoran were humanoid in appearance, but with distinctly avian features, feathered hair, hollow bones, and extraordinary vision. The demonstration against the Corfac fleet was conclusive. Then, what options remain? Asked Grull. Surrender our sovereignty to these upstarts? Earth has been part of the galactic community for less than a century. Perhaps that is precisely why they have achieved this breakthrough, Sirhul observed. They are not bound by our millennia of tradition and incremental progress. They built their technology in secret, while we watch them through the lens of our own expectations. Lyria nodded, her feathers rustling. The Zoran Council of Elders is already leaning toward acceptance of Earth's terms. The fee they propose is substantial, but not ruinous. And the protection they offer. She left the thought unfinished. Protection we neither asked for nor need. Grull slammed a massive fist on the table, leaving a dent in the supposedly indestructible material. The Meraki have defended ourselves for 12,000 years. And yet, Sirhul said quietly, none of our defenses would have stopped what happened to the Corfac fleet. Not one of us possesses countermeasures to molecular disruption on that scale. The three fell silent, the weight of the decision before them hanging in the air. There is another factor to consider, Lyria said finally. If some worlds accept Earth's protection while others refuse, it creates a divided galaxy. Those under Earth's umbrella will gain strategic advantage. Trade routes, diplomatic leverage, military security, all will favor Earth's new clients. So we either all accept or all refuse, Grull concluded. And all refusal seems impossible to coordinate. Srel added, already the Crystallans and the Hive Collective are signaling acceptance. Grull's massive shoulders slumped. Then we have no choice but to negotiate the best terms possible within Earth's framework. It appears so, Lyria agreed, her normally bright eyes dimmed with concern. Though I wonder if humanity fully understands what they have set in motion today. Back in the main chamber, as the standard day deadline approached, High Counselor Zethris called for order. The chamber, which had been a cacophony of debate, gradually quieted. Representatives of the Galactic Council, Zethris began, his voice solemn. We have deliberated on Earth's Galactic Peace and Security Initiative. While many have expressed reservations about both the proposal and the circumstances that led to it, the Council has reached a consensus. Riley Martinez, who had returned to the chamber precisely on schedule, sat with perfect posture, her expression neutral but attentive. The Galactic Council provisionally accepts the framework of Earth's initiative, subject to the following modifications. Zethris continued. First, arbitration rights will be shared between Earth and a panel of Council representatives. Second, basing privileges will be negotiated on a case-by-case basis with individual worlds. Third, the fee structure will be reviewed annually to ensure fairness across economic disparities. Riley made a show of considering these counter-proposals, jotting notes on her paper pad. Finally, she stood. Earth appreciates the Council's thoughtful response, she said. We accept your modifications in principle, with the understanding that implementation details will require further discussion. She smiled. I believe this marks the beginning of a new era in galactic relations, one of unprecedented security and cooperation. The words sounded noble, even inspiring. But every being in that chamber understood the reality beneath them. Earth had conquered the galaxy without firing a shot. The power balance that had held for millennia had shifted in a single day. As the session adjourned, Riley found herself approached by High Counselor Zethris in a quiet corridor. Impressive diplomacy, Ambassador, he said, his 6 eyes arranged in what Riley had learned to recognize as a pattern of grudging respect. Your species continues to surprise us. That's our specialty, Riley replied. Humans have always been underestimated. By nature, by each other, and now by the galaxy. Perhaps no longer, Zethris observed. But I wonder if you've considered the full implications of today's agreement. Meaning? Earth has assumed responsibility for galactic security, a burden my people have shared with other elder races for thousands of years. It is not merely a position of power, but one of immense obligation. Riley's smile faded slightly. We're aware of the responsibility. That's why we developed the technology in the first place, to protect ourselves in a dangerous galaxy. Now, we're extending that protection to others. At a price, Zethris noted. Everything has a price, Counselor, even peace. Zethris inclined his elongated head. Indeed. I only hope that when the true cost becomes apparent, humanity will be prepared to pay it. Before Riley could respond, the High Counselor turned and glided away, leaving her alone with thoughts that were, for the first time since the crisis began, troubled by doubt. Riley Martinez's private shuttle docked with the orbital platform Malir 6 hours after the Council session adjourned. As Earth's chief diplomat to the galactic community, she technically outranked the military personnel aboard the platform, but she still felt a flutter of nervousness as she prepared to meet Admiral Thompson. The Admiral had a reputation for directness that made even seasoned politicians uncomfortable. Ambassador, Thompson greeted her as the airlock cycled open. No salute, just a curt nod. Welcome to Malir. Admiral, Riley returned the nod. Quite a view you have up here. Through the vast observation windows, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space, partially illuminated by the sun. We maintain this platform for more than the scenery, Thompson replied, leading Riley through sleek corridors where officers and technical staff moved with practiced efficiency. This way to the secure briefing room. Once inside, with the door sealed and anti-surveillance measures activated, Thompson's demeanor softened slightly. Congratulations on your diplomatic coup, Ambassador. The President is pleased. Riley sank into a chair, suddenly aware of the exhaustion she'd been holding at bay. It wasn't exactly subtle diplomacy. Subtle wasn't an option after the Corfac moved against us, Thompson pointed out, taking a seat across from her. How are you handling it? The question caught Riley off guard. She'd expected a tactical debriefing, not concern for her well-being. I conquered the galaxy before lunch, she said with a weak smile. It's been a day. Thompson didn't return the smile. The political landscape has shifted permanently. You're now the face of Earth's new position in the galactic hierarchy. Every word you speak, every gesture you make, will be analyzed by hundreds of species trying to determine our true intentions. Our true intentions, Riley echoed. Aren't they exactly what we stated? Protection in exchange for influence and resources? You and I know that, Thompson said. But the galaxy will look for hidden motives, secret agendas. Some will see Earth as saviors, others as conquerors in peacekeepers' clothing. Riley rubbed her temples. And which are we, Admiral? I'm not sure I know anymore. Before Thompson could answer, a chime indicated an incoming priority communication. Thompson activated the secure terminal, and General Webb's face appeared on the screen. Admiral, Ambassador. He acknowledged them both. The Security Council has finished its assessment of the galactic response. 73% of Council worlds have already indicated their acceptance of our initiative. The remaining 27% are expected to fall in line within the week. And the Corfac? Riley asked. Webb's expression darkened. Their government is in chaos, with their fleet gone and their senior military leadership detained. Hardliners and moderates are struggling for control. Our intelligence suggests the moderates are gaining the upper hand. Good, Thompson said. The last thing we need is another military power trying to prove themselves against our defenses. Agreed. Which brings me to Phase 2. Webb continued. The President has authorized limited disclosure of Project Greek Fire to key allies. Riley frowned. Greek Fire? I'm not familiar with that designation. Thompson and Webb exchanged glances before the Admiral answered. It's a companion to Sleeping Giant, where the MDN can relocate matter. Greek Fire can reconfigure it. Essentially, it can transform one element into another through targeted molecular manipulation. Riley's eyes widened. You're talking about large-scale transmutation. That's beyond anything the galactic community has achieved. Webb finished for her. We know. It's why we're keeping it in reserve for now. But select allies need to know we have more cards to play if challenged. There's also Pandora's box, Thompson added quietly. Webb's image flickered as he leaned forward. That remains strictly classified. Admiral, not even for this briefing. Thompson nodded, but Riley caught the flash of concern in her eyes. Whatever Pandora's box was, it clearly disturbed even Earth's senior military leadership. Ambassador. Webb addressed Riley directly. Your next task is to begin the implementation of the security initiative. A diplomatic corps is being assembled, 700 representatives to be dispatched to key worlds. You'll oversee their training and deployment. 700, Riley echoed. That's a small price to pay for galactic hegemony, Webb said flatly. These diplomats will be our eyes and ears across known space. They'll negotiate the specific terms of each world's protection agreement, establish protocols for Earth defense installations, and, of course, collect the fees that will fund our continued expansion. Expansion, Riley repeated, the word feeling strange on her tongue. General, we've just committed to protecting hundreds of worlds. Shouldn't our focus be on consolidating that responsibility before we think about expanding further? Webb's expression hardened. Ambassador, Earth spent too long as a minor player in galactic politics. We've been patronized, underestimated, and threatened. Now we have leverage, technology that puts us generations ahead of our nearest competitors. The Security Council has no intention of squandering that advantage. Of course, Riley said, recognizing the political reality. I'll begin preparations for the diplomatic corps immediately. After Webb's communication ended, Riley sat in silence for a moment, processing the implications of Earth's new galactic role. It's a lot to take in, Thompson said finally. We're not peacekeepers, Riley said quietly. We're not even an empire in the traditional sense. What are we becoming, Admiral? Thompson stood, moving to the observation window to gaze at Earth. Something new, a power based not on territorial control or resource extraction, but on fear. The fear of what we could do if provoked. That doesn't sound like a stable foundation for galactic governance. Perhaps not. But it's the foundation we have. Thompson turned back to face her. The question now is what we build upon it. As Riley left the orbital platform hours later, those words echoed in her mind. Earth had changed the rules of galactic politics overnight. Now, they would have to navigate the consequences, for better or worse. The transformation of Earth's standing in the galactic community happened with breathtaking speed. Within a month of the Council's acceptance of the security initiative, the first wave of Earth's new diplomatic corps departed for assignments across known space. These weren't mere embassy staff, but the vanguards of Earth's new protective umbrella, each equipped with direct communication links to the MDN control centers. Luna Base, long presented to the galactic community as a scientific research station, revealed its true nature as the nerve center of Earth's defense network. The facility expanded rapidly, with new modules and personnel arriving daily. What had once housed a few hundred researchers now accommodated thousands of military staff, technical specialists, and diplomatic coordinators. In the heart of the complex, Riley Martinez stood beside Admiral Thompson, watching as the latest batch of diplomatic liaisons prepared for departure. These weren't career diplomats, but a mix of military officers, intelligence specialists, and political appointees, all crash through an intensive training program to represent Earth's interests abroad. "They're young," Riley observed. "They're adaptable," Thompson countered. "And they understand the technical underpinnings of what they're representing. Most career diplomats couldn't explain the difference between molecular disruption and conventional weaponry." Riley had to admit the admiral had a point. In the weeks since the Corfac incident, she'd spent countless hours explaining, and often deliberately obscuring, the capabilities of Earth's defense systems to curious and concerned alien delegations. "The Tsaran representative arrives tomorrow," Riley said, changing the subject. "They're bringing a full technical team to observe the installation of their protection node." Thompson's expression tightened. "They're looking for vulnerabilities." "Of course they are. So would we." Riley shrugged. "Let them look. The interfaces we're providing to member worlds are glorified status monitors. They can see that they're protected, but they can't access the actual technology. And when they demand more transparency, we'll remind them of the 847 ships that disappeared without a trace." Riley replied, "Fear is a powerful motivator for cooperation." Thompson frowned but didn't argue. This was the new reality of Earth's position, trust built on implicit threat. "The first quarterly fees have started arriving," Thompson noted after a moment. "Economic analysts are still processing the influx, but initial projections suggest a 17% boost to Earth's gross planetary product. Not to mention the technological exchanges," Riley added. 3 races have already offered technical knowledge as supplementary payment. Dr. Liang's team is ecstatic about the crystalline quantum calculation matrices. "It's a new golden age for humanity," Thompson said, though her tone lacked enthusiasm. "Everything we ever wanted, security, prosperity, respect." Riley glanced at the admiral. "You don't sound convinced." "I've spent my career in defense, Ambassador. I understand the value of deterrence, but what we've created goes beyond deterrence into something else. Hegemony." Riley supplied the word Thompson seemed reluctant to use. "Yes." Thompson turned away from the viewport to face Riley directly. "The galaxy fears us now. That fear keeps us safe, keeps our new protectorates in line. But fear without respect, without genuine alliance, it's unstable. What would you suggest? We can't unring this bell." "No, we can't. But we can be mindful of how we wield our advantage." Thompson's gaze was intense. "The military supported the security initiative because it prevented a direct conflict with the Corfac and established a buffer of protected worlds around Earth. But some in leadership see it as a first step towards something more extensive." "Expansion," Riley said, recalling General Webb's words. "Yes. There are already proposals for securing regions beyond the Council's territory. The fringe worlds, the scattered clusters, places with resources but limited defenses." Riley felt a chill despite the carefully regulated temperature of the lunar facility. "That would be naked imperialism, wrapped in the flag of protection and security," Thompson agreed. "And if I have these concerns, others will too," Riley finished the thought. "Including our new galactic subjects." 3 months later, Riley found herself once again before the Galactic Council, though in very different circumstances. No longer seated in the lower tiers, Earth's representative now occupied a place of prominence near the High Counselor. The chamber's atmosphere had shifted as well, the frantic energy of crisis replaced by a wary deference that Riley found both gratifying and disturbing. "Ambassador Martinez." High Counselor Zethras acknowledged her with the formal bow reserved for major powers. "Earth's quarterly security report is most impressive. The statistics on piracy suppression alone speak to the effectiveness of your initiative." "Thank you, Counselor," Riley replied. "Earth takes its security responsibilities seriously. In the past 90 days, our network has neutralized 17 unauthorized fleet movements, dismantled 3 pirate bases, and provided emergency evacuation for the Proxima colony during its stellar event. The achievements were real, and even Riley had to admit the tangible benefits of Earth's new role. Interstellar shipping had never been safer. Smaller worlds that had long suffered from raiders now conducted trade without fear. The fees collected were substantial but not crippling, and the promised protection had been delivered. Yet, beneath the surface of this new order, currents of resistance were forming. Riley could see it in the way certain delegates huddled together when they thought no one was watching, in the coded language of seemingly routine diplomatic exchanges, in the increasing requests for technical clarification about Earth's defense systems. The Council has reviewed the proposed amendments to the initiative, Zethras continued. While we appreciate Earth's willingness to adjust the fee structure for developing worlds, there remains concern about the expansion of basing rights in the outer sectors. And there it was, the first public pushback against what some in Earth's government were calling Phase 2 of the initiative. General Webb and his allies had moved quickly, proposing new Earth installations in regions technically outside Council jurisdiction but rich in resources and strategic value. The outer sectors face unique security challenges, Riley said smoothly, reciting the official position. Unstable governments, minimal infrastructure, vulnerable populations. Earth's presence would bring stability to these regions. Some might call it encroachment, came a voice from the Tessaran delegation. Not Srel this time, but a junior representative named Talis, known for more progressive views. The outer sectors have not requested Earth's protection. Often, those most in need of protection lack the organization to request it, Riley countered. But I assure the Council that any expansion of the initiative will proceed with full transparency and consultation. The words felt hollow even as she spoke them. In private meetings, Webb and his faction had made it clear that consultation would be perfunctory at best. Earth had the power now, and they intended to use it. After the session, Riley found herself approached by Lyria of the Zoran hegemony, one of the few delegates who still engaged with her as a peer rather than a superior or adversary. "Ambassador," Lyria greeted her, feathered crest rising slightly in what the Zoran considered a gesture of friendly acknowledgement. "A moment of your time?" They moved to a quiet alcove off the main concourse, away from the busy traffic of delegates and aides. "Earth's achievements under the initiative are remarkable," Lyria began, her voice carefully modulated. "The Zoran have particularly appreciated the security guarantees for our outlying colonies." "I'm glad to hear it," Riley replied, sensing the but that was surely coming. "However," Lyria continued, "there is growing concern among several council races about the trajectory of Earth's policies, the proposed expansion into the outer sectors, the increasing militarization of diplomatic outposts, the restricted access to protection node data, all necessary measures to ensure effective security," Riley said. The response automatic now after countless similar conversations. Lyria's feathers rippled, a sign of agitation. "Ambassador, we are not naive. The Zoran have existed for millennia, through countless shifts in galactic power. What begins as protection often evolves into control. What starts as security frequently ends as suppression." Riley felt a flicker of the same doubt that had troubled her since the initiative began. "The Zoran supported the initiative," she pointed out. "We had little choice," Lyria admitted candidly. "But support under duress is not true alliance. And without true allies, Earth stands alone atop a very precarious peak." The warning was clear, and Riley found herself unable to dismiss it with the practiced assurances she usually deployed. "What would you suggest, first speaker? We cannot simply abandon the security framework that now spans half the galaxy." "No," Lyria agreed. "But you could guide it toward genuine partnership rather than dominance. Share more of your technology rather than merely its benefits. Involve member worlds in meaningful decision-making. Build trust to complement the fear you've already established." Before Riley could respond, her communication device signaled a priority alert from Earth. "I must take this," she said, not entirely unhappy for the interruption. Lyria's words had struck uncomfortably close to her own private concerns. "Of course." Lyria inclined her head. "But consider what I've said. Ambassador, the greatest empires in galactic history were not those that ruled by fear alone, but those that transformed fear into respect, and eventually into loyalty." As Lyria departed, Riley activated her secure channel. General Webb's face appeared, his expression grim. "Ambassador, return to Earth immediately. There's been an incident." Back on Earth, the situation was even worse than Riley had feared. An attempted infiltration of Luna Base had led to a tragic overreaction: the molecular disruption of an entire crystalline diplomatic vessel with 27 dignitaries aboard. "A misunderstanding," Webb insisted during the emergency briefing at Earth's Unified Defense Command headquarters. The vessel failed to respond to hailing frequencies and approached a restricted sector of Luna Base. The automated defense protocols activated before human override was possible. "They were there at our invitation," Riley countered, unable to contain her frustration. "They were part of the technical observation team we approved last month. Their flight plan indicated arrival through the main lunar approach corridor," interjected Admiral Thompson, her voice tight with controlled anger. "They deviated without notification." "Likely a navigation error," Riley said. "The crystallines use quantum entanglement guidance systems that sometimes experience drift near gravity wells." "Regardless," Webb said firmly, "the incident occurred. Now we must manage the fallout." "Manage the fallout," Riley repeated incredulously. 27 representatives of one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy were just disintegrated because our trigger-happy defense system couldn't tell the difference between a diplomatic shuttle and a threat. "Not disintegrated," Thompson corrected quietly. "Relocated, like the Corfac fleet." Riley stared at her. "You mean they're still alive? Where?" Thompson and Webb exchanged glances before Webb answered. "Containment Facility Omega. It's a secure installation within the Kuiper Belt. Then we can return them immediately," Riley said. "Issue a formal apology. Blame it on technical malfunction. Offer reparations." "It's not that simple," Webb interrupted. "The relocation process is imperfect. There are complications." "What kind of complications?" Riley demanded. Thompson sighed. "Molecular integrity issues. The technology is still experimental, especially for certain physiologies. The crystalline silicon-based biology has proven problematic for reassembly." The implication hung in the air, horrible in its clarity. The crystalline delegates were alive, but damaged, perhaps irreparably. "This is a disaster," Riley said finally. "The crystallines were among our earliest supporters in the Council. If word gets out that our vaunted protection system maimed their diplomats—" "Word will not get out," Webb stated flatly. "Official explanation: navigation error led to a collision with lunar debris. Tragic accident. Full investigation pending." Riley stared at him in disbelief. "You expect the galaxy to believe that? The crystallines will demand to see the bodies, analyze the debris field." "Which will be provided," Webb said. "Our technology can create very convincing evidence when necessary." "This is wrong," Riley said, rising from her seat. "Morally wrong and strategically disastrous. If we cover this up and it's discovered later, and secrets like this always come to light eventually, we lose all credibility with the Council. And if we admit that our miracle defense technology sometimes scrambles innocent diplomats into unrecognizable forms," Webb countered, "how long before the protection fees stop flowing and the alliance crumbles?" "It's not an alliance," Riley snapped. "It never was. It's a protection racket backed by fear and deception. And now we're compounding it with lies about the deaths of innocent beings." "Ambassador Martinez," Webb's voice took on a dangerous edge. Your diplomatic skills have been invaluable in establishing Earth's new position, but policy decisions of this magnitude are made by the Security Council, not field representatives. Then I want to address the Security Council, Riley demanded. They need to understand the galactic implications of this cover-up. The Council has already been briefed and has approved the official response. Webb said dismissively. Your role now is to deliver that response convincingly to the Galactic Council. Riley looked to Thompson, hoping for support, but the Admiral's expression was carefully neutral. Professional to the core, Thompson would follow orders regardless of her personal views. And if I refuse? Riley asked quietly. Webb's eyes narrowed. Then, you would be relieved of your position and replaced by someone who understands the priorities of Earth security. The threat was clear. Riley had helped create this new paradigm of Earth's galactic dominance, and now she was expected to maintain it, regardless of the moral compromises required. I'll need time to prepare an appropriate statement, she said finally, her voice cold. One that the crystallines might actually believe. You have 12 hours, Webb replied. The Security Council expects this matter resolved before the news spreads further. As Riley left the briefing room, Admiral Thompson fell into step beside her in the corridor. You knew, Riley said without preamble. You knew the technology was flawed. Thompson didn't deny it. All technology has limitations. The MDN was developed for defense against military threats, not precision handling of civilian vessels. Then we should have disclosed those limitations before promising protection to half the galaxy. Perhaps, Thompson conceded. But that decision wasn't ours to make. They walked in silence for a moment before Thompson spoke again. Her voice lowered. For what it's worth, I agree with your assessment. This cover-up is both ethically questionable and strategically risky. Then help me fight it, Riley urged. Your voice carries weight with the Security Council. My voice, Thompson said carefully, is one among many. And those advocating for expanded power have grown stronger since our demonstration against the Corfac. She paused. But there are others who share our concerns, military and civilian leaders who question the path we're on. Riley understood the unspoken message. There was opposition to Webb's faction, but it was cautious, not yet ready to move openly. What would you have me do? Riley asked. Play your role, Thompson advised. Deliver the official explanation, but perhaps leave room for future transparency. And be careful who you trust with your true thoughts on these matters. It was hardly the rousing call to resistance Riley had hoped for. But she recognized the reality of their situation. Earth had unleashed forces, technological and political, that couldn't be easily contained. 6 months after the crystalline incident, the galaxy had settled into an uneasy acceptance of Earth's dominance. The official explanation had been reluctantly accepted by the crystalline collective, aided by generous reparations and exclusive mining rights in a previously restricted system. The expansion into the outer sectors had proceeded, though at a slower pace than Webb had originally planned, due in part to Riley's careful diplomatic maneuvering. On the surface, the Galactic Peace and Security Initiative was a remarkable success. Piracy had decreased by 87%. Interstellar trade had increased by nearly 30%. Smaller worlds that had long lived in fear of their more powerful neighbors now conducted their affairs with confidence, protected by Earth's unseen technological umbrella. Yet, beneath this apparent stability, currents of resistance were forming. Reports reached Earth of clandestine meetings between traditionally rival species. Unusual technological exchanges were detected. Certain sectors of space experienced communications blackouts that defied explanation. Riley monitored these developments with growing concern. In her private quarters at the Earth Embassy on Galactic Center, she maintained a secure database of incidents, patterns, and rumors that together painted a troubling picture. The galaxy was preparing for a post-Earth future. A chime announced a visitor, Admiral Thompson, arriving for their weekly coordination meeting. the official cover for what had become strategy sessions for the moderate faction within Earth's leadership. "Admiral," Riley greeted her, activating the anti-surveillance measures that had become standard procedure. "Welcome to the heart of our benevolent empire." Thompson smiled thinly at the irony. Benevolence is an increasingly hard sell these days. She handed Riley a secure data crystal. "The latest from General Harker's faction. 3 more worlds have requested technical inspections of their protection nodes." Riley nodded, adding the information to her database. General Eliza Harker had emerged as the primary counterweight to Webb within the military establishment, advocating for greater transparency, more genuine alliance building, and ethical use of Earth's technological advantage. "They're looking for weaknesses," Riley observed. "I can't blame them. The MDN network has expanded to cover 83% of inhabited systems, but we still refuse to share the underlying technology or allow meaningful oversight." "Meanwhile," Thompson added, "Webb's pushing to bring Greek Fire online across all primary defense platforms, and there are whispers about accelerating the Pandora's Box project." Riley had finally learned what Pandora's Box entailed: a theoretical application of molecular disruption technology that could alter the fabric of space-time itself, creating or collapsing the wormholes that made interstellar travel possible. If successfully deployed, Earth could literally isolate entire star systems from the galactic community with a single command. "We've gone too far," Riley said quietly. "We started with self-defense and ended up with the power to reshape the galaxy at whim. No species should have that kind of unilateral control." "Agreed. But how do we pull back without creating a power vacuum that could lead to even worse conflict?" It was the question that had haunted Riley for months. Earth couldn't simply abandon its role now. Too many worlds depended on their protection. Yet continuing on the current path seemed destined to lead either to absolute domination or catastrophic rebellion. "We need allies," Riley said finally. "Not subjects, not clients. True allies who share both the benefits and responsibilities of this technology. Webb and his faction will never agree to sharing the MDN specifications," Thompson pointed out. "Not all at once. No. But what if we started with the most reliable council members? The Zoran, perhaps, or even the Tessarans, despite their historical volatility. Give them limited access first, then gradually expand the circle of trust." Thompson considered this. "It could work, especially if we frame it as enhancing the network's effectiveness rather than diluting Earth's control. Harker might be able to sell it to the moderate faction in the Security Council. And if we demonstrate that shared control actually improves galactic stability, we undermine Webb's argument for centralized Earth authority," Thompson finished. "It's a long game, but it might be our best option." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication alert. Priority 1, direct from Earth. Thompson activated the secure channel, and General Harker's face appeared, her expression grave. "Admiral, Ambassador," she acknowledged them. "We have a situation. Approximately 2 hours ago, we lost contact with the protection nodes in Sector 7G. Riley felt a chill. Sector 7G contained 5 inhabited systems, including a major Zoran colony. "Technical malfunction?" "Unlikely," Harker replied. "All redundancy systems failed simultaneously. We're detecting unusual energy signatures consistent with our own molecular disruption technology." Thompson and Riley exchanged alarmed glances. "Someone's targeting our network?" Thompson asked. "That's our working theory," Harker confirmed. "But here's where it gets interesting. The affected nodes haven't been destroyed. They've been reconfigured. They're still functioning, but they're no longer responding to Earth control signals." "Who has the capability to do that?" Riley wondered aloud. "That's the question, isn't it?" Harker's expression was grim. "We've operated on the assumption that Earth alone possessed this level of molecular manipulation technology. That assumption appears to have been incorrect. Or, Thompson suggested, someone has reverse-engineered our technology from the limited access we've provided. Possible, Harker acknowledged. Whatever the source, this represents a direct challenge to Earth's security framework. Webb is already calling for an immediate show of force, deploying Greek fire to neutralize the compromised sector. That's insane, Riley protested. There are billions of beings in those systems. Using Greek fire could destabilize their stars, disrupt planetary chemistry. I'm aware, Harker cut her off. Which is why I've temporarily blocked the deployment order, citing technical concerns. But I need political support to maintain that position. You'll have it, Riley assured her. I'll contact our allies on the Council immediately. If this is coming from within the galactic community, we need to identify the source before we start lashing out blindly. Agreed. Meanwhile, Admiral Thompson, I need you to return to Sol immediately. Your expertise with the MDN may be our best hope of countering this threat without resorting to Webb's sledgehammer approach. After the communication ended, Riley and Thompson stood in silence for a moment, processing the implications of this development. It's happening, Riley said finally. The pushback we've been expecting. Someone in the galaxy has decided that Earth's protection has become too costly, one way or another. The question is, Thompson replied, do we respond as the benevolent protectors we claim to be, or the conquerors they fear we've become? Riley moved to the viewport, gazing out at the spectacular view of Galactic Center, the administrative heart of the Council, where thousands of species had coexisted in relative peace for millennia before Earth's dramatic entrance onto the galactic stage. The greatest trick, she said softly, was convincing them we were honest. What's that? Thompson asked. Riley turned back to face the Admiral. Something I thought when we first imposed the security initiative, that our greatest achievement wasn't the technology itself, but making the galaxy believe we would use it responsibly. She sighed. I'm not sure I believe that anymore. Then perhaps it's time for honesty, Thompson suggested. Real honesty, not the selective transparency we've practiced so far. You mean reveal everything? The limitations of the MDN? The existence of Greek fire and Pandora's box? The fact that we've been lying about the crystalline incident? Not all at once, Thompson clarified. But yes, a gradual, strategic move toward genuine partnership with at least some members of the galactic community. Because if we don't, she gestured toward the alert still flashing on the communication terminal. This is just the beginning. Riley nodded slowly. We created this new galactic order through fear. Maybe the only way to save it is through trust. It's a gamble, Thompson admitted. Everything is, Riley replied. But I'd rather gamble on partnership than continue down this path of escalating control and inevitable rebellion. She straightened her uniform. Decision made. Contact General Harker. Tell her we're implementing Protocol Sunshine. Protocol Sunshine? Thompson repeated, puzzled. Riley smiled, the first genuine smile in months. My little contingency plan. Selective disclosure of MDN specifications to key allies, starting with the Zoran and the reformed Corfac government. Webb will fight this with everything he has. Let him, Riley said with new determination. The galaxy is changing again. Admiral, either we change with it, or we'll be left behind, powerful, feared, and utterly alone. As Thompson departed to make arrangements for her return to Earth, Riley turned back to the viewport, watching the endless stream of vessels arriving and departing from Galactic Center, ships of every configuration, carrying beings of unimaginable diversity, all now living under the shadow of Earth's protection and power. The greatest trick, she murmured again, was convincing them we were honest. She paused, her reflection ghostly in the transparent material. Perhaps it's time to try actual honesty and see where that leads us. The coming days would determine whether Earth's brief reign as galactic hegemon would evolve into something more sustainable or collapse under the weight of its own contradictions. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. In the vast chamber of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Riley Martinez stood once more before the assembled delegates. But this time, she carried no notepads, no tablet, only the weight of a decision that would reshape humanity's place in the cosmos. "Representatives of the galactic community," she began, her voice steady despite the significance of the moment. "Earth comes before you today, not as a protector or power, but as a partner seeking a new path forward." As the delegates listened in wary silence, Riley embarked on the most dangerous diplomatic mission of her career, transforming fear into trust, one truth at a time. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the future of a galaxy hung in the balance.